So you're thinking of moving to Houston, Texas, but you're not quite sure if you're ready to give this up or not. Well, look, I don't blame you. In fact, I might even think you're crazy for leaving this, but I do want to tell you why so many people are choosing to move to Houston, Texas. There are a lot of reasons. We talk to buyers every single day that are relocating from out of state, from all over the place, but California seems to be one of the top states that are leaving and coming to the Houston area. So if that's you, sit right there, because I'm going to walk you through all the reasons that we find clients are moving to the Houston area and tell you everything that they love about it. So let's get after it right now. Hey guys, so maybe this is your first time to the channel, and if you want to know everything there is to know about moving to the Houston area, go ahead and subscribe to our channel, tap that bell for notifications. That way you can be the first to know about everything going on right here in the Houston area. Now, my name is Ferris, and my team, we get calls and texts and emails every single day from people that are just like you, trying to figure out if moving to the Houston area is the right fit for them. So if that is you, then go ahead and give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email so we can help you make a smooth move right here to the Houston area. Now, as we introed it in California, I'm back here in Texas at my office here in Houston, and I want to run you through the main reasons that people are moving to the Houston area. Now, I know if you're watching these videos, contemplating a move, you're probably considering other cities. And if you're looking at Texas, you're considering Austin, you're considering Dallas. And I've lived in Texas my whole life. I've traveled all over the country, all over the world, but I can tell you about all the different Texas cities. And so a lot of the same reasons people move to Houston are gonna be the same reasons that people are moving to Austin or Dallas. So really this video could equally be, why do people move to Texas? But we'll get a little bit more specific with Houston in this video. So the number one reason that we see clients moving to Texas is cost of living. And I'm sure you've heard about this, but let me tease it out a little bit for you and show you exactly what that means, because it really trickles down into every aspect of life. And so even though the Houston area has seen an impact of inflation, just like all the other parts of the country have, overall, I would say Houston handled it a little bit better than we've seen in other parts of the country. And so while gas prices in California are $7, here in Texas, they're $4, which is not great if you grew up here in Texas. I remember when gas was 99 cents a gallon, but that being said, it does seem to be a lower cost of living than other states like New York or California, or really most of the rest of the country. Even Florida seems to be getting more expensive than Texas. And so that's going to be the big thing is cost of living. And so the second reason that we see a ton of people moving here to the Houston area is going to be how cost of living impacts home prices. And so really the way I would coin the reason number two is what people can get for their money. So when people watch these videos that we make and they see what you can get for $700,000 and that you can get a 3,500 or 4,000 square foot family home with a nice yard and maybe a pool, and you're in a safe place with great schools, and you're living somewhere else in another state where you can't get a one-bedroom condo for that price, it starts to get your attention. Maybe this video will get your attention, but that's really the second reason that we're seeing a heavy influx of people moving here to the Houston area is going to be what they can get in housing specifically for their money, because there's a ton of housing options here in Texas. I mean, you really have a little bit of everything. You've got apartments, you've got condos, you've got beachfront condos, you have single family homes, you have ranches, you have estates, and so there's just a broad mix, but majority of those are going to be a lot more affordable than they are in whatever state you're watching this video from. And so reason number three that I think a lot of people are moving here to the Houston area, and I hear it probably the most, maybe I should have made this number one, but reason number three that a lot of people are moving here to Houston is going to be freedom. So that applies to all of Texas as well. But we've gone through a lot the past 2 or 3 years here in the country, and it seems like there's a lot of division. But through COVID, there were a lot of people that were quite upset about the restrictions. And while I'm not going to dive into the political aspect of that, I'm just going to give you some feedback that that's why a lot of people are moving here. And so there are a ton of people relocating to Texas because they don't want to be told what to put in their body. They don't want to be told when to wear a mask. They don't want their businesses shut down. They don't want these restrictions. And so Texas traditionally has less restrictions, fewer restrictions than a lot of other states. And I think that the country is starting to see the benefits of that. And so regardless of where you align politically, you can't argue that having these freedoms has allowed Texas to weather the storm economically a lot better than it has these other states that shut down their businesses. And so freedom is a big factor here. And you really don't, if you grow up in Texas, you don't realize what that feels like until you're in other states and you realize, okay, it is more restrictive. Even though Texas is 2022, there still is a little bit of an air about it of you just feel a little bit more free here. And so I love that. That's one of the things that I connect with a lot of clients on is, being able to do what you want to do here. And so reason number 4 that a lot of people are moving to Texas is going to be there is no state income tax. And the perfect storm, the culmination of no state income tax and job growth and inflation is a ton of companies, and less restrictions is a ton of companies are bringing their headquarters here. And so you've got tons of companies moving here to the Houston area. And so your money, if you make $100,000 in a different state and then you come here, you might be paying 12% less in taxes when you're here. And sure, we've got property taxes, but we run numbers for clients all the time. And when you factor what they're making and what they can get for their money here, the property taxes typically don't hold a candle to what they're paying in their state annual income taxes. And so we find that is a really, really predominant reason for people wanting to move here to Texas, is to just keep a little bit more money in their pocket and things are less expensive. So reason number 5 that we see a ton of families moving to the Houston area is because it's a really family-oriented city. There are tons of suburbs in Houston, which is primarily what we focus on in our vlog videos. And these suburbs really are intentionally designed for families. So you've got a bunch of different types of neighborhoods here in Houston, but as far as new construction goes, you're seeing a lot of master planned communities with multiple builders building at multiple price points, putting really great amenities right in the neighborhoods. You've got splash pads, you've got water parks, you have pickleball courts, you have rock walls, you've got putt-putt courses. And so they're doing everything they can to draw these families in, and it's working. And maybe you've seen some of our other vlogs, and if you haven't, you should, of these master planned communities, because it really blows a lot of people's minds from other states what Texas is offering. And sure, there's the trade-off of the heat here in the summer, but at least these suburbs and these neighborhoods are giving and offering things to do that are fun. And so so that's reason number 5, is it's very family oriented here in Texas. Reason number 6 that we see a lot of clients moving here to Texas is the public school systems here in the Houston area are actually very good. In fact, most of the suburbs that we feature in our vlogs have top rated schools. I mean, Katy is number 1 in Harris County. Cypress Fairbanks is number 2 in Harris County. And then the Woodland schools are actually part of Conroe ISD in Montgomery County. And then you've got Montgomery High School and Montgomery ISD. And so you've got all these top schools all throughout the Houston suburbs. And so maybe you're living in California or another state and you have to pay for your kids to go to a private school and you live in a $3 million house because the public school that you're zoned to is terrible. Well, here in the Houston area, that can be the case, but for the most part, the suburbs that we feature aren't like that. So you're going to be comparing A+ schools to A- schools, or maybe B+ schools. It's not like comparing A's to F's. So overall, people are very pleased with the schools here, and that attracts a lot of people because they don't have to send their kids to private school and they get a home for half the price. So it's kind of a win-win-win. So everything really starts to compound on top of itself. Another reason that people move to the Houston area is going to be its diversity, and that plays out in a whole lot of ways. You know, Houston really is a cultural melting pot. There are tons of people from all walks of life, different countries, different backgrounds, and they all find themselves in Houston. And it really just allows you to have a really well-rounded cultural experience. There's all these different types of festivals in the suburbs, but also in downtown. You've got tons of different people supporting the sports teams here in Houston. And so everybody from all walks of life come together here in Houston. And so you really do have like a really strong community feeling in the Houston area. There is a Houston pride. And so that's one of the big reasons that attracts people here is the diversity. And it plays itself out in the food as well. So the food here is phenomenal. I don't take advantage of it enough, but Houston has some world-class restaurants. And so it really is cool to get to try a bunch of different food from a bunch of different cultures within 30 minutes of your house. So the next reason that we find a lot of people relocating here to the Houston area is because of how centrally located Houston is in the country. We have 2 international airports here and then a bunch of other local municipal airports. And it really allows for convenient access for all of these companies that have moved here to be centered in the country. It's a 3-hour flight to the East Coast, 3-hour flight to the West Coast. Maybe I got those backwards. But either way, it's right in the middle of the country and it's super convenient for any type of travel. And that's something just growing up here, I didn't choose to be born here, but it's really nice to be able to travel the country. The flip side of that coin is you can drive 12 hours west to El Paso and you're still in Texas. So it is rather landlocked, but there's a lot of benefits to being here in the Texas area. So I could go on, the list goes on. There are other reasons that clients move here, and I'm happy to dive into those with you. Maybe you've got reasons of your own, but those are the main reasons that we're seeing a lot of growth here in the Houston area. Whenever the country experiences any kind of economic downturn, typically Houston gets hit last. I've lived here for 30 years, and pretty much whenever it's bad in California or New York or other places, it just doesn't seem like it's quite as bad here. We're not as heavily dependent on oil and gas like we used to be. There's a lot more, there's just a lot more that plays into the economy here in Houston than there used to be. There's tech, there's medical is huge here, there's entrepreneurship, there's the ports in Houston because we're on the Gulf of Mexico. So there's just a ton of industry here in Houston, and it seems to weather the storm pretty well because it's a very diverse economy now. So all that to say, if you're thinking of moving here to the Houston area, go check out some of our vlogs, get to know these neighborhoods we're talking about, learn, that's what we're here for. And if you have any questions about Houston, do not hesitate to reach out. Go ahead and give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email. That way we can help you make a smooth move right here to Houston, Texas.